Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm with Fitness is Medicine. Today we're going to do another great workout you can do in your home, and we're going to do it all body weight and all legs. So it's a leg day. There's a lot of different muscles in your legs, as you know, and keeping all of them strong, the big muscles, the small muscles, the supporting muscles, the stabilizing muscles are all really important for things like balance and getting up and down out of a chair, important things like that. So remember to come into these workouts warmed up and ready to move. So 5 to 10 minutes of a cardio workout just to get your heart rate up, get your muscles and joints ready for movement, especially sometimes those lower leg, the lower body could use a little bit extra warming up to get those joints ready for movement. Okay. So like I said, you can use some weights here, but we're going to do all body weight to start. So we're going to start off with some squats. We're just going to do some body weight squats, and you can always use something so that you can sit back and use that proper form, like this you could use, or your kitchen sink, anything like that, a banister, anything that's sturdy that you can really sit back and trust. So let's start with 10 squats, nice and slow. I want you to go down as low as you can with good form. So if you get here and then all of a sudden your knees start to go forward, try to just go here so that I'm sitting my hips back far. Notice that my knees are not going forward, especially in this smaller range of motion. Get down as low as you can for those squats. And like I said, it might really help if you hang onto something so you can really sit back and protect those knees. So you want to make sure your knees stay over your ankles. They're not collapsing in like this. And they're not going too far forward. They will naturally go a little bit forward as you sit down into a deeper squat. But you want to make sure that you're sitting those hips back, squeezing your glutes as you stand up. Let's do 2 more. Now I put my hands forward when I do a squat. It just kind of helps me with balance. All right, good. Like I said, you can use a weight. If you do, just kind of hold it right in between, set it down in between your feet. Okay, now we're going to lower down to the floor. And we're going to do some bridges. So that one worked your quads and your glutes. This one's going to work your hamstrings and your glutes. So we've done these many times, but it's nice to kind of break it down every now and then so you remember how to do it with proper form. So think about flattening your back to the floor, squeeze those glutes, lift your hips. Now I'm pushing my weight through my heels again here. We're going to hold it for 3, 4, 5 seconds, however long, to really get that good contraction. Each time, flatten your back, squeeze your glutes, lift your hips. Now, you don't need to think about lifting your hips as high as possible here. It can be a small range of motion. It can just be like right here. Glute bridge. So what the point is, you're squeezing your glutes all the way. Squeeze, squeeze. So like I said, you don't have to think about going as high as possible here. That's kind of a myth that people, it's a common thing that people think. And then it can end up in irritating your back if you do have low back pain. Remember to keep breathing. So part of that flattening your back is you're engaging your TA. You're engaging your core here a little bit, and then keeping that engaged with the glute squeeze can really help with that stabilization. Let's do 3 more. Good. There's a lot of different variations of bridges, but sometimes I like to do just the plain, simple, basic bridge. And realistically, this is a really great exercise for those glutes. A little bit of hamstring work, the posterior side of your body, but also getting that posterior pelvic tilt here really helps engage your core throughout this hold as well. All right, good, rest. Now we're going to flip over onto your side. Sometimes I just have to make sure my camera's still running when my screen goes dark. I still can't get my other camera to work, so thank you for bearing with me on this screen. Clamshells. So the most important thing here is that we are stacked. My hips are stacked, my shoulders are stacked, and almost think about tucking this hip, your bottom hip, under, just a little bit. And then bring those feet up towards your hips. So your knees are bent. Small range of motion here. So we're lifting your knee, really working right here, that glute right here, your posterior side. Commonly, this has too much range of motion. So this is really all the further I can lift this from this position with my hips really tucked under. This bottom hip is tucked under just a little bit, and it feels like it's really tucked under, but realistically it's just stacked. So my right hip is stacked on top of my left hip here. My shoulders are stacked. I don't want to be open like this, because then, I'm getting a really big range of motion, then I start to use other muscles, and I'm not really targeting this glute as much anymore. And it doesn't take much. I'm keeping my feet together. Keep breathing. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. And again, really take the time to tuck that bottom hip under just a little bit. That's where you're going to get the most benefit from this. So if you're going to take the time to do the exercise, you want to get the most benefit from it, right? And if you start to go and you feel like you can really just open that hip up really wide, tuck it under a little more, because honestly, with my proper positioning, I can't even open my knees any higher than this. So many times people will think they need to add a band, and you can. You're welcome to add a loop band here for more resistance. But realistically, if you're in the correct position, you're going to really feel this, and then go nice and slowly as well. And rest. Okay, now we're going to come up on your elbow. Bring that bottom leg out, this leg back, and you can keep it more in front of you or just kind of straight back like this. We're going to do a lower leg lift. So now we're going to work the inside of your thigh. So slowly up and down here. It's not a huge range of motion. Don't let that leg touch down at the bottom. So I'm keeping my foot from touching each time. Small range of motion. And we'll switch sides. I'm going to refresh my camera again. Okay. Okay, that bottom leg is out. I'm just lifting my foot parallel with the ground, working that inner thigh, our adductors. So we need hip stabilization from all around, the front, the side, the back, and the middle. And 10. Good. Okay. Now stand up slowly since we've been on the ground for a little while here. And we're going to do some calf raises. So now we're going to move into the lower part of your leg for this next one. And you can do these hanging on to something. They can be a balance exercise, but they don't have to be. So I want you to go up as high as you can on those tiptoes and then slowly lower down as slowly as you can. And that height, getting as high as you can on those tiptoes, is important to really work the full range of motion. There are a lot of people who only have it to here, and that's okay, but start working on getting as high as you can, and that's why I want you to be able to hang on to something if you need to, so that you can work on that large, full range of motion without worrying about that you're going to tip over with your balance. If you can do this without hanging on, and you can still get that full high range of motion, that's great. Nice and slowly on the way down. Control it on the way down. Two more. There's a lot of muscles that you're working here. You're working your calf muscles, obviously, your gastroc muscles, but your toes and your feet and your ankles, all of those muscles are really working hard here too, and those are all really important muscles for balance and fall prevention. And rest. Okay, the last one we're going to do is a standing hip extension. So I want you to stand. Again, you can hang on to something, and we're going to go straight back. So my foot is flexed, so I'm pushing my heel towards the back of the room. And it's not a very large range of motion. Again, I'm only going just past my other heel, squeezing under this glute here. 9 and 10. Okay, stand up nice and tall. Adjust your posture if you need to. Really work on standing up tall in this supporting hip as well. If you find that you're kind of jutting out to the side and then it's really hard to move that foot, think stabilization, really squeeze to stand up as tall as you can in that stabilizing hip. Now really thinking about squeezing under your glute, squeezing your glute here, squeezing right under your cheek. Just move that straight leg backwards. Don't bend that knee. And 10. All right, good. Okay, go through those a couple times at least. I would say 2 to 3 times total. You can do some cardio in between, just a couple minutes even, just to keep your heart rate up. These aren't super strenuous exercises, so it's good to keep your heart rate up so that you get a good full workout. Okay, remember to cool down and stretch when you're finished, and please let me know if you have any questions. Have a great workout, everybody. Thank you.